Why did the Hindus and Muslims separate from each other in India, and what led to the separation? The effects of the British Indian Empire, religious differences, and land disputes in India in the 1940s led to a division between Hindus and Muslims, which was further solidified by the partition of 1947 and continues to exist today. The Partition of 1947. The Partition of 1947 was the partition of presidencies and provinces of British India which led to the separation. The partition is a document or treaty that divided the Muslims and Hindus up into two different countries, India and Pakistan. The Partition of 1947 divided the two religions, Hindus and Muslims, into two different countries which are now India and Pakistan. The partition was made because of all the disagreements happening between the Hindus and Muslims regarding land and religion disputes. Shown in the pictures above are effects of the partition of 1947, including separation between Hindus and Muslims, causing it to be what is now Pakistan and India, and a lot of death regarding train incidents and suffocation because of all the mass popularity that had to leave India and go into Pakistan. Religion. The two religions living in India during this time was Hindus and Muslims. The fight against the British Indian Empire brought the two religions together, causing them to outarm the British, pushing them back. This happened in 1947. Religion caused conflicts between the two sides, then also causing differences in who gets more land than who, and who has a higher ranking in society. Muslims and Hindus think differently, eat differently, pray differently, and talk differently. These are just some of the reasons why Hindus and Muslims split up. British India. Here is a short clip about British India and the effects it had on Hindus and Muslims.
Dear Mr. Gandhi, to achieve the freedom and independence of the peoples of India, it is essential to accept the division of India as Pakistan and Hindustan.
Dear Mr. Jinnah, last evening's talk has left a bad taste in the mouth. Our talks seem to run in parallel lines and never touch one another.
Wavell has failed to bring Hindu and Muslim together. Communal rioting is intensifying. The British sense they are losing control. Attlee needs to find a new viceroy to lead India to independence.
I thought very hard and looked all around, and suddenly I had what I now think was an inspiration. I thought of Mountbatten.
In March 1947, Earl Louis Mountbatten and his wife Edwina arrive in New Delhi. The great-grandson of Queen Victoria and second cousin to George VI, Mountbatten brings a regal presence to the drama of India's independence. As the last viceroy, he bears responsibility for India's fate.
2nd of April, 1947. I have now completed my first week in office. I should like to be able to paint an encouraging picture of my first impressions, but feel it would be misleading if I did so. The scene here is one of unrelieved gloom. At this early stage, I can see little common ground on which to build any agreed solution for the future of India. The only conclusion I have been able to come to is that unless I act quickly, I may well find the real beginnings of a civil war on my hands.
By May, attempts to create a unified India have failed. Gandhi, retreats from political life. Muhammad Ali Jinnah, leader of the Muslim League, and Jawaharlal Nehru of the Indian National Congress concede to divide India. Fearing a total loss of control, Mountbatten brings forward the transfer of power to August. Two nations will be created by partition, a secular India and a new homeland for India's Muslims, Pakistan.
The British Raj was the rule of the British Empire in the Indian subcontinent between 1858 and 1947. When the British took over what is now India and Pakistan, it was peaceful between the Hindus and Muslims as they combined forces to push away British forces. Once they did that, and the British left, Hindus and Muslims had many problems that occurred as soon as the British left. These include religion and land disputes, the fight for power, and who has a higher class than who, and also who's wealthier than who. Hindus and Muslims have different social classes and have different ideas. And so, because of the British leaving, a lot of conflicts arose between the two religions. Allies to enemies. Hindus and Muslims went from being allies to enemies. When the British controlled India, Gandhi and Muhammad both joined forces to push back the British. Once doing so, many problems arose. Religion and land differences and the fight for power caused the two religions to split up. Hindus and Muslims, or now India and Pakistan, are now enemies because of their differences. Pakistan and India have had 3 wars since 1947. To conclude, the division between the Hindus and Muslims occurred because of the effects of the British Indian Empire, the partition of 1947, and religion and land disputes.